name is Chloe, and happy Mother's Day. So today I was watching Heather from HEABooktubes, and she was doing a video about how she reads as a mom. And I thought, you know what, that is something that I want to hear more moms talk about, because it is so hard to juggle motherhood and housework and reading and all of the things that you want to do. And so today we've got some awesome moms of BookTube, and we've got kids from all over the board. So let's just go ahead and say your name and how old your kids are. So Tia, let's start with you, and then we'll go down and snake through.
Hi, I'm Tia, and I have 3 daughters. The oldest is 13. Then the middle one just turned 11, and the youngest is 7. So generally they're 3 years apart, but sometimes their birthdays throw them off a little.
Yeah, cool. So you've got the older kids in this group, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Good. You'll be our beacon of hope, I hope. Bree.
Okay, I'm Bree. I'm a mom of 3. I'm just gonna say how old everybody's turning.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my oldest is Asia. She's turning 13. Then I have Jace, who's turning 11 next month, and then Kason will be 6 in September.
Oh, ours are close.
Yeah. Okay, Tara, you're our newest newbie.
Yes, I'm Tara from Buzzwords Books, and I am the newest mom here. My son is almost 3 months old.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
I know all of us are like pitter patter, but Tara's like, man, I'm in the thick of it, guys.
Yep.
The thick of it. This is not funny. Kelly, go for it.
I'm Kelly from Cozy Reader Kelly, and I have 2 kids. My oldest is 6, and the younger one is 3.
Okay, cool. So
Teenager.
yeah, definitely.
Solidarity, man. It is
That's-
it is a hard age.
Yeah, I don't know why people say terrible twos, because I think that the 3s are where the
So much
attitude
harder.
starts.
For me, it has been like, and it was like right. So I don't know if you guys know, I have a 3-year-old and a almost 1-year-old. And yeah, for me, it was like right before she turned 3, it was like she started getting lippy, and it's just gotten worse. Now she's 3 in a few months, and she's like, she knows it all. She knows it all. Well, so first, let's just talk about, how has being a mom changed your reading, or has it?
For me, right now, in the thick of the baby time, it has 100% changed my reading. I'm reading like maybe 2 books a month right now.
Yeah. It has definitely changed the time of day that I read.
Yes.
I was never a nighttime reader, and now I am. And yeah, the amount has gone down for sure.
Yeah, you do a lot of nighttime reading.
That's all I do, and it's rough because that's not my preference.
I guess it does get easier as I get older.
When? Tell me when. Give me details.
Every win.
Be concrete about this.
With Asia and Jace, I think because since they're really not that far apart, right? So like,
Yeah.
and I look back at when I had them, I wasn't reading that much. But with Kason, I had him when I had discovered BookTube, and I was reading a lot. I was in the hospital like after I had him, reading The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Audier.
Really?
So, and so I don't know, audiobooks have helped a lot with motherhood, and like now they're like, the ages that they are, and they do their own thing, and it's just gotten so much easier to like pop on my headphones and like do everything I need to do and have an audiobook.
Do they let you read? Like, do they leave you alone if you read, now that you guys with older kids?
Yeah.
Mine do. My oldest, when she was a baby, when she was a newborn, I feel like she slept all the time.
Yeah.
And sleep when she was sleeping. So I felt like I read a lot when I only had one and she was a newborn. Like, I feel like she napped all the time. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly.
Yeah, maybe you've got rose-colored glasses.
When they start to get mobile, that's when it starts to get like harder. At least for me, when they start to crawl and roll over and get into stuff, and yeah. And then when there's 2, forget about it.
Oh, I find it easier with two. I don't know. My
Well, once they
two,
can play together, yeah.
yeah,
Once
they and ready to play. Like they are very independent players. They don't want mommy to play with them unless like they need something, like unless they need me to reach something. They just want to play the two of them. So often I'm reading while they're playing. And especially this year, since we're homeschooling the older one, like we for kindergarten, you only homeschool for hour and a half, maybe tops a day, and then they're playing a lot of the day. And when they're playing outside, that could be like 2 hours straight of them just playing while I'm reading.
So Kelly, what was that like a year or two ago? Is this new? Like, again,
Yeah, I would
tell me more.
Well, I would say yeah, because when I only had one, I played with her a lot. You know, she was 3 when we had the second one. So, so when I only had one, she required a lot of one-on-one time. So then it was like reading during naps or reading after she went to bed. But both of my kids required basically being held for the first like 6 months of their life. Like they did not, like, especially my second, she didn't sleep without being held until 10 months. And so audiobooks were where it was for me, because at that age, like she would sleep, but I couldn't hold a book. So I'd be holding her and I would be listening to a book while holding her for a lot of the day, because if I moved or got up or put her down, there was screaming. So
not worth it. Yeah.
That's how my second one was too. She never slept unless it was on me. Like I spent for 6 months, she slept right here, like every single night. So I had like a toddler who wanted me to play with her, and then a baby I had to hold all the time. So there was no reading during that period. But once the second got old enough for them to play together, then they would go and entertain themselves. That's when it got easier.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Well, and that's where like you think about the mom guilt that we were talking about, of like how well, and just the guilt of like reading. Like I want to be reading, especially as content creators. It's like we almost feel like we need to be reading. Like how do you guys balance all the hats you wear as a mom, as a woman, as you know, I mean, all of these things? Like how do you balance it all? Or do you?
With lots of guilt.
With lots of guilt.
I always feel like my husband tells me that I beat myself up too much, because I'm always like, I always say, okay, I'm a failure. I'm failing at this, and this, which is terrible for my mental health. And my husband points it out all the time, but I can't seem to stop. So if you have me on tips, stop telling yourself you're a failure.
No, I'm waiting for you to give me the tips, Tia.
Well, and I think grace is so hard to give yourself, but I think realizing that you cannot nail everything all at once. Either your house is going to be messy, or your kids are going to be upset, or you're not going to be reading or doing self-care. I mean, we're talking about reading here because that's all of our hobbies and our like what we like to do for self-care, but you can insert any word there. I feel like it's an illusion to say you can do it all. And I mean, whatever you're doing at that time, other things are going to be slacking.
Yeah.
So we are lucky that our hobby, if you listen to audiobooks, our hobby can be done at the same time as our housework. And that's what I do a lot of time with the audiobooks now that my kids are old enough and playing. You know, if they're playing well and I'm doing dishes or cooking, then I'm usually listening to something or watching BookTube videos.
Yeah. Have you guys ever taken time off of reading? Yeah.
I mean, like I said, with my older two, I wasn't really reading that much. Like Asia spent like 3 months in the NICU. So like I would read to her when I'd go visit her, but I don't really remember like reading for fun during that time. And then even like now, like really March and April, I didn't read as much as I think I just like went too crazy in the beginning of the year. But, yeah, I mean, like one thing that I've talked to my therapist about, and she's just like, change the way that you word things. Cause I'll be like, I need to do dishes today. I need to fold all the laundry and I need to clean the upstairs bathroom. And she's like, change that to, I would like to, so that if you don't get to it, it's fine. But I mean, like Kelly said, as an audiobook listener and even text to speech listener,
Yep.
I find ways to do those things and read at the same time. And it's kind of like my mom zone out moment. Like I don't feel guilty because I am getting stuff done and I'm able to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, mine is not even, I don't even go with need. I say, I should be doing this. I should be reading it. I should be doing this. I should be. I have to stop myself and say, like you said, like change it. Because the truth is, like, if I don't take a few minutes every day to do reading or cross stitching or something that like calms me down, then I'm way more stressed out with my kids and, you know, my husband than I would be. So, yeah.
Well, and that's where I feel like, yeah, like taking time off reading is good if that is bringing you self-care. I guess if reading becomes an obligation as opposed to self-care, then I think it's good and fine to take a break. Especially like I feel like in the early days when your kids are really, really needy. If it's not bringing you joy, don't do it, I guess. Is kind of what I learned. But it's then hard too to be like, okay, and I've read a lot less than normal, and I don't know. It's a weird kind of juxtaposition of what you want to do versus like what actually brings you joy. For example, like I think Tara, it was you and I talking the other day that I was like, I don't even know if I enjoy physical reading anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like it feels like so much work right now where it's like I'm so tired all the time that I physically read and I read like 10 pages and then I'm like, okay, so this book has been on my nightstand for 2.5 weeks and I'm 75 pages in, and it just like almost brings me guilt as opposed to bringing me joy. So and I think being okay with that maybe right now, if it's not audio, I don't want it.
I think every night for the past like week and a half, I've fallen asleep with a book in my face, like 10 pages in. I'm like, I've been reading a 300-page cozy mystery for like 2 weeks. Like I should have finished that like weeks ago.
Audiobooks, I think, are the way to go. I don't know. But so you guys with older moms, do you feel like your ability to focus with like extraneous stuff has gotten better as your kids have gotten older, or like as you have had kids?
Oh yeah. My 5-year-old like sings at the top of his lungs and I just am like, whatever.
Really?
I can just tune it out. I don't know. And like, because I stay at home, so people are cutting their grass outside or somebody comes to check on the AC unit, and it's just, I don't know. It's probably not the best thing or the healthiest thing. But
I think it's great because like right now, if I sit down to physically read, because my kids are 3 and 1, so they're at the point where they are starting to play together, not super independently and not like out of my sight, but they're starting to play together. And yet I will sit down with a book and I'm like, I can't even focus on physically reading. Partially just because I've got one eye on them all the time, but two, just because like the conversation and the noise and stuff, I have a really hard time tuning out.
Well,
And
that's
I
why
think that'll get better.
if I have a physical book, I have to have the audiobook. Like you were talking a little bit ago about reading physically, and that's a no for me. I miss sitting and being cozy with the book physically, but it's more for me like, oh God, like I start daydreaming and or like going through my list of like, oh God, I forgot to put the leftover pizza back in the refrigerator. Let me go do it. You know, so it's like if I have at least the audio, I can put the book down, go do it, and then come back. I cannot focus right now with just a physical book. And it's not the kids, it's just my mind going through all of the little stuff, you know. So yeah.
I agree. I can't do physical books until everybody's in bed. Because if I try to do a physical book, especially like if something happens and they do need my attention, I have to like, where's the bookmark? What do I do with the book? Like it's too hard to do both the physical and to concentrate. Like, cause there's screaming, there's stuff, there's if they're watching a show or whatever, like it's just too much, where at least with the audiobook, I can tune out what they're doing. And if I really need to be paying attention to them, you can wear one earbud and then still be listening. Like it helps you focus, like you said, Bri, on like it's moving along whether you're listening or not. So you need to be focused.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I don't do audiobooks very well. I am majorly distracted from audio.
On audio.
Yeah.
I can't listen to that, and I just can't do it. I don't know how you do it.
So how do you focus when you're reading physically?
So I do most of my reading after they go to bed physically, and then my kids, so I homeschool. So when we're done for the day, a lot of times they'll go play like in one of their rooms, away from me, and I can sit down and read, before dinner or whatever. I'll have a couple of hours to do whatever I want to do. So that is a big plus with having older kids, when they can go in a different room and play with their toys together, and I don't have to worry about them.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's just the conversation we need to have, of just like normalizing those of us who are utilizing only audiobooks right now. Because I feel like across BookTube that is becoming more and more a thing, but like, especially for those of us who do enjoy a physical read, it's hard to be like, I'm going to let go of that, and that's okay for this season of life. I don't know. I think part of it is motherhood. Part of it is just 2021. And part of it is just all the things you've got in your mind.
I hate it because like I'll cringe. Like if there's a book I want to read and I can't get it on audio, I'm like, crap, like it's going to take me forever to read this because I feel like I read so slow. But then every time I sit and I just do it, I'm like, dang, I really miss those days of like reading without audio, like before it became what it is now. But I do get ticked off when there's those conversations of like audio isn't real listening, like real reading. And I'm like, hey, for some of us, it's like the only
It's all we got. It's all we got. Yeah. I definitely think that. Yeah, I definitely think it counts because it has to right now. And it might not be your preferred method of taking in material, but you do what you can. I saw something on Instagram, I think at one point, it was a couple months back, but about this phenomenon of moms either staying up super late or getting up super early, because that's our only time to like have alone time. So we sacrifice sleep. Even though we're overtired and exhausted, we sacrifice sleep just to have an hour or two to ourselves to do whatever it is we like. So I think we have all said that we do some reading once our kids are asleep. And, I know Tara and I, and probably all of us really could use the darn sleep, but, we stay up late doing this stuff for ourselves. So is that the way to get self-care at this point? And maybe we just need to come to terms with
that. Tara's got a baby, so she's like, whatever sleep I can get. But yeah, like my body, I think I just get up early. Like when I was still in the Air Force, I had to be at work at 4:45 in the morning, so I was getting up at like 3:30. Now, I sleep in until 5. Okay, so like 5. I love it. So like, I wish I was a night owl, but I'm not. But my time really is, I just love like the quiet in the early morning. And that's my self-care time.
It's so nice.
I have to constantly just remind myself that this is only for a season. Like I remember being Tara and like, you get up in the middle of the night over and over and over and thinking like, when am I ever going to sleep? Is this ever going to be over? Like it's so exhausting, but it gets easier. And then you don't have that baby anymore and you're, sad. Like I miss that baby sleeping on me. And the same with my kids now. Like, yes, it's a huge sacrifice at times and you don't have time for yourself, but eventually they won't be here anymore in the house and I'll be super duper sad.
So sad. And I think I just try to remind myself like, okay, I'm making a choice to stay up later for my self-care, and making that choice of what's more important. And a lot of nights it is just reading and chilling out, and but I don't know, like for those of us with little ones that sleep through the night, Tara, do you think it's helpful to pick up a book in the middle of the night, or does that keep you up longer?
Both. I mean, it depends on the night. Like, I mean, there have been times when like if I wake up, I just stay up reading because I know he's going to wake up. So I'm like, well, I don't want to go back to sleep and then just wake up 5 minutes after I fall asleep.
Woken up. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it has like kept me up and then he stays asleep the entire time. I'm like, oh, well, I could have been sleeping this entire time.
Yeah.
So
it's hard. Like as a mom, it's like we have so much to do during the day. It would be nice to just check out. Like I love that reading time happens, but I know for me, like Annie has regressed. She's almost a year and she's waking up 2 to 3 times a night. And so then I'm sleeping like hour and a half chunks, not because she's up that long, but just because I am up that long. But it's how I'm getting my reading done. So here we are.
Well, thank goodness for Well, so in the middle of the night, are you reading on your Kindle or what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My Kindle or audio, like I'll put in an earbud and either rock her or something, or I'll lay there and play Candy Crush because they say don't get your phone, and I think that's a good thing to do because I'll put an earbud in, and if I would just lay there, then I think I would be back asleep a lot quicker. But I play Candy Crush and then I'll play until my lives are out, and then it's a vicious cycle.
I mean, total mom hack, like that most people probably roll their eyes at, but like if I'm that desperate, I whip out the iPad and I just like bring the screen down and I'm like, read to me. And it's so robotic, but
it works. Less brain power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So to sum it up, no matter what age your kids are, I'm hearing that it gets easier once they can play together if you have multiple, and it gets easier just the older they get. But I think no matter what age, if reading is self-care, I think we need to allow ourselves to prioritize that and give up the idea that you're going to be great at everything.
Yeah.
And if your kids have a little more screen time because you need to read, okay. If your dishes stay undone for 12 extra hours, they'll still be there.
Yeah.
They'll be waiting.
They'll be waiting.
And your kids will see you reading, and maybe that will be something that they'll pick up later then.
Well, I think that's why I'm a reader, is I always saw my mom reading all the time. She would read when we were all watching TV, and so we're all readers in my family. So I'm like, okay, if I start reading and he sees that, then hopefully that continues.
That is a great point. I think there's definitely benefit to your kids seeing you read frequently. And like Annie, my older one, she, since babyhood, like she would sit and listen to books for a long time. And even now, like put her in a corner with a stack of books and she'll hang out for an hour by herself. Annie, we struggle to get through like Peekahoo. Tara, I know you know that book. Like it's like a 5-page board book. We struggle to get that kid through it. But like just seeing me read and seeing me turn pages and that kind of stuff, like I'm like, well, maybe she's learning. Like she won't sit still for this, but maybe she's picking up on something. I don't know.
I read something in a magazine back when those were a thing, and it said like, if your babies see you reading, they associate books with love.
Oh, okay.
I think that even though we're just trying to squeeze it in, they still see us doing it, and that's whether they do it or not. That may be what they associate it with. So look at us with our mom superpowers.
I know. Like reading, teaching our kids, we're doing it all at once. It's fine. But well, as this airs on Mother's Day, to any mom watching, I hope you are doing something today that is bringing you joy. And if that's reading, I hope you're reading something great. Let's go around before we run out of time, and everybody just say what you're reading right now.
I'm reading Pride and Prejudice. It's a reread because I decided to treat myself this month to some rereads. Yeah.
Cool. How fun. I mean, that Pride and Prejudice doesn't sound fun, but treating yourself to rereading or doing whatever you want sounds fun.
Of all the rereads, Tia.
Right. Better you than me, girl. Better you than me. Bree, what are you reading?
So I'm treating myself to A Paranormal Romance by Heather Graham. It's my second Heather Graham, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than the previous one, which was still good. But I was like, okay, she's a big deal. We can do better. And
Have you read A Magical Christmas by Heather Graham?
I have not, and I have it on Audible.
Read it. I like it. I like it a lot. Tara, what are you reading?
I'm in the middle of a few different books. I have A Cozy Mystery by Ellie Alexander going right now.
Which one?
On Thin Icing.
Oh, is that one of the
bake shop? Okay. Yeah. And then I'm reading A Good Marriage, and then I have I have The Well of Ascension on audio that I'm listening to with John. So, and then we're starting our buddy read.
Yeah, I know. Me and Tara were supposed to start a buddy read today, and I texted her like an hour ago, and I was like, "Is that?
Are we starting that?
Is that today?" And it is. Yeah, it is.
Whenever,
Kelly, we'll just add it to the list. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. Kelly, what are you reading?
Well, I am attempting to finish or read the entirety of The Count of Monte Cristo this month.
Wow.
What is with you guys?
Yeah.
Like, super duper. And I'm gonna be like, I'm reading this romance.
It's only like 1,200 pages, but yeah, so I'm into that, and I'm reading that physically in ebook, going back and forth, and then I am listening to the Read Aloud Family, which is all about reading to your kids. So
is that a podcast or a book?
Well, she does a podcast, like the author has a podcast called, I think, the Read Aloud Revival, and this is her book that she wrote about reading to your kids.
Okay. I am like trying to get on my Goodreads and tell you what I'm reading because I can't even remember the name, but it's like Coming Home to Seashell Harbor. Is that Brie? It's a forever. What?
Is it the Nancy Nagel?
No, it's a Miranda liaison.
Oh, you have that from forever?
I have it, yes. Hold on, I'm gonna look and see because I think it's Coming Home to Seashell Harbor. Is that what it's called?
It is, yeah.
Okay, that, and then I'm also reading another one physically that I've been reading for literally like 2.5 weeks, and I'm about to start Between Shades of Grey with Tara. So, yay! Okay, well, everyone, thank you for joining, and we hope you all have a wonderful Mother's Day. If you're watching this, let us know, how old are your kids? Do you have any tips, tricks, strategies for getting more reading done? Let us know all your thoughts, and thank you for watching.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.